panga mtunzi tiende pamozi tonse a Zambia mtima umozi chikondi chatu palibe kusiyana ndife amozi tieni tipange ziko latu.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gauteng High Court has just dealt the Lungu family another crushing blow in their long drawn-out courtroom soap opera, dismissing with cost their desperate bid to block the Zambian government from repatriating the body of the late former president Edgar Lungu. 3 months after his death, the man who once ruled Zambia is still lying in a South African mortuary freezer, not because of lack of money, logistics, or even Zambian government incompetence, but because his family and the state are locked in an absurd battle over who owns a corpse. Welcome to Southern Africa, where even death comes with a court date. Let's rewind the tape for those who are joining this circus late. After Edgar Lungu's passing in June, the Zambian government immediately announced he would receive a state funeral and burial in Lusaka at Embassy Park, as is customary for a head of state. But the family had other ideas. They wanted to keep him in South Africa, citing their constitutional rights, contractual obligations, and emotional appeals. To their credit, they have thrown the legal kitchen sink at this. Constitutional Court, Supreme Court of Appeal bids, and now High Court leave to appeal hearings. Each time, however, the South African judiciary has politely, and now not so politely, told them, take your loss and go home. This latest ruling was particularly brutal. The High Court didn't just reject the bid, it dismissed it with cost, effectively saying, your case is so hopeless that you are not only wasting our time, but you will pay for the pleasure of doing so. That's a punitive order, the judicial equivalent of being flogged in the village square while the neighbors clap. The judges made it clear that there are no reasonable prospects of success if this circus ever made its way to the Supreme Court of Appeal. Why? Because this is not the kind of matter that raises constitutional principles for the ages. It's not a test case. It's not a groundbreaking legal issue. It's a fact-specific family versus state brawl about one unusual situation that is unlikely to ever happen again. As one judge might as well have said, we don't get a steady supply of dead Zambian presidents in South African mortuaries. Stop pretending this is a precedent for the next generation of lawyers. The Lungu family argued that it was unsettling for a foreign government to use foreign laws in a South African court to lay claim to the remains of a loved one. They even suggested that this raised deep questions about sovereignty, constitutional rights, and human dignity. Sounds dramatic, doesn't it? Almost like the trailer for a Netflix courtroom drama. But the judges were unimpressed. They cut through the noise and pointed out that this case doesn't break new ground. It just drags everyone into unnecessary litigation over something that should have been resolved months ago. Now here's the kicker. While the family dithers and keeps filing paperwork, Zambia remains in limbo. Its former head of state hasn't been buried. The nation hasn't had closure, and the political symbolism of a state funeral remains trapped in the freezer with him. 3 months. That's how long Zambia has been waiting while the family lawyers dance around the courts. 3 months of uncertainty, diplomatic embarrassment, and speculation. 3 months of Edgar Lungu becoming a symbol not of leadership but of bureaucratic delay and family stubbornness. The High Court's ruling effectively greenlights Zambia to start the repatriation process, unless the family can immediately lodge an appeal with the Supreme Court of Appeal, and then maybe, if they are feeling ambitious, try their luck at the Constitutional Court again. The order stands. Zambia can now dust off the paperwork, call the undertakers, and bring their former president home. And make no mistake, if they don't move quickly, Zambia has every legal right to act. But let's also not ignore the human drama. The family is grieving. They insist they have rights. They have argued that the government's actions trample on their dignity and their role in deciding what happens to their loved one's body. On the other side, the Zambian state is saying Edgar Lungu wasn't just your husband, father, or uncle. He was our president, and he deserves a farewell that reflects his national role. This is the collision point between private grief and public duty, and instead of compromise, it has spiraled into a legal tug-of-war that has dragged on for months. Here is the harsh reality. Appeals take time. South Africa's courts move slowly, and if the family keeps appealing, it could be another 3, 6, or even 12 months before a final decision is reached. Do we really want to see headlines in 2026 about a body still waiting for burial because the family wouldn't let go? At some point, this is less about law and more about dignity. And right now, dignity is in very short supply. So, where does this leave us? Zambia has won again in court. The family has lost another battle, though not the war. They can still petition the Supreme Court of Appeal, maybe even the Constitutional Court again. But the writing is on the wall. The judges don't see merit, and the courts don't want to be dragged into what they call a one-time scenario. It may well be in the family's best interest to go back to the negotiating table and strike a deal with the government before the saga gets any uglier. Because, make no mistake, right now the legacy of Edgar Lungu is not about his presidency, his policies, or his time in office. It's about a body stuck in cold storage because his family and government can't agree on where to bury him, and that, my friends, is not a legacy. It's a tragedy dressed as a farce. So, what happens next? Does the family swallow its pride and let Zambia proceed with the repatriation? Or do we buckle up for yet another round of appeals, lawyers, and headlines? One thing is certain, this drama is no longer about the dead. It's about the living, their pride, their politics, and their refusal to compromise. And that is why we say this. Enough is enough. A president deserves more than legal limbo. Zambia deserves closure, and the family deserves peace. If they can't find it in the courts, maybe they should find it in their hearts. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear this from you, the people watching this from across Zambia, Zimbabwe, South Africa, and beyond. Do you think the family should keep fighting, or is it time to let Zambia bury its own? Drop your comments below, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell, because in Southern Africa, even the dead don't escape politics.